Great. Well, Maya, Lydia, thanks again for joining. So we're going to talk a little bit about what the Career Explorers experience was this past summer. So Maya, let me kind of start with you and ask you to tell me a little bit about why you joined Career Explorers and what you were hoping to get out of it for the summer.
So I joined the Career Explorers mainly because I saw there was a fun thing to do over the summer, and I really believe, like, in the future, like, you want to be like a lifelong learner, so you always want to be learning even if you don't have school. And I thought it'd be really interesting learning about the real estate industry, especially because I saw like some of the projects before focused on New York City, and I love New York City, so I was like, I'd be so excited to build a project there. So yeah, those are the main reasons.
And were you interested in real estate, or were you just looking for something new?
Sort of looking for something new. I knew a little bit about the real estate industry, but not too much. I thought it'd be cool to learn about something I don't have too much knowledge on.
Great. And Lydia, what made you want to volunteer for this pencil program when you heard about it through RXR?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that a main reason that I decided to be a mentor was that it really tied into kind of outside of my job, really what makes me feel excited and driven. I think that is kind of working across different generations and across different experiences and supporting nonprofits and organizations that are so focused on like the city itself and the communities in the city. And that's a lot of the work that I did, actually, because I grew up in the city. It's a lot of the work I did in high school and college, and it's just been a focus of mine. So when the opportunity was presented, and especially when I heard about Maya's interest in the community and marketing and just generally design, it just seemed like such a fun opportunity, and so grateful for it. I feel like it has been such a fun time to just connect and get to know Maya better. And honestly learn so much myself in the process in different areas of real estate. And so I'm really grateful for the opportunity.
Great. So tell me what it was like the first time the two of you virtually met. I know that you got matched. We did some magic in matching at Pencil. What was it like when you had your first conversation together? Either one of you can share.
I think it was great because like I would sort of give these ideas that I didn't know how realistic.
I think you froze, Maya. Tech issues.
I know, the Zoom experience.
We'll give it a second. Oh, there you are. You're back.
Was I frozen?
So, yes, you totally froze. So you're going to have to repeat what you just said.
Yes. Okay. So my bad. I was like, oh, I didn't know. So I just said our first meeting was really enjoyable because I was giving off these ideas that I didn't know if they'd be realistic or not. And Lydia was very like enthusiastic and very encouraging. And she was like, oh, we could also do this and this. And it's really fun to have somebody who's so passionate about my project as well. So it was great.
And Lydia, what was it like for you that first meeting?
Yeah, I think it felt like a very natural fit based on really concrete ideas that Maya brought to the table from the get-go. And, her project was very community focused and very neighborhood driven. And that's very much of what my role is at RXR, is to just promote community and engagement and a feeling of being connected in our buildings. And so it was just a lot of fun to kind of take my learnings from my role here at RXR and honestly just, again, growing up in the city, feeling connected to the city, and sharing that with Maya and us bouncing a lot of really fun, creative ideas off of each other from the very beginning. So it felt very natural. It felt really easy, and going to definitely miss that, but also excited to really keep in touch and continue to get to know each other.
Mm-hmm. Great. And Maya, what do you think you are taking away from this experience? Did you learn anything either technically about the industry or just some, professional skills or things like that. What are some of those skills that this experience leave you with and can prepare you for success in the future?
So I think some of like the general ones would be like, organization and like goal setting. So I was able to create the project in like a timely manner, and I had deadlines to complete. So that was helpful in learning, like building up those skills. And obviously my presentation skills, which are always like a work in progress. I felt like by the end of, like when it was presentation day, I felt really good in my project because of how much practice and feedback I got from Lydia. So I definitely think my presentation skills improved. And also being able to put my like creative ideas into something realistic, I think is a really strong skill that I worked on during this project, because my project was like creating a shared art center in the middle of Williamsburg, Brooklyn. So there are the different factors when you think about like the square footage, the spacing, construction, and all those things. And I was really able to get into like the nitty gritty details and see like how realistic I can make this project. So I thought that was fun.
Great. And Lydia, what did you see? How did you see Maya's evolution over the past 5 weeks? Like, did you see her really blossom in certain spaces and skills and grow in areas?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Maya spoke to this already, and I mentioned this, but she came from the beginning with a lot of very concrete ideas and a real vision for this project and the neighborhood, and she had a reason for why she wanted to engage with this neighborhood. But what I really admired was her ability to also tackle the more nuts and bolts part of the project. So, we spent quite a lot of time on the financing piece and really thinking through how can we make this business float, right? How can we make this business profitable? What partnerships can we grow in the surrounding area with visual arts schools and with like chambers of commerce and with other nonprofits that support the arts? And really, she engaged so much in that and kind of came with her own knowledge and love for the city, and especially the arts community in the city. And I saw just that love from the beginning just narrow more and become more concrete and turn into an actual kind of business plan and idea. And I think something that I really admired was even to like the day before, just kind of tweaking those slides and making the presentation pop even more and be more engaging. And I think an example of this, and I spoke about this in our large meeting at the end, but where I had suggested, why don't you just pull some brand ideas for what you'd want the business to look like, kind of more on a marketing side and a logo side. And then she showed me her final presentation. She'd literally just built the brand and she built the logo and kind of gave some samples on like t-shirts and tote bags, and just kind of putting her own love into the project and bringing her own interests and skill sets she developed kind of on the side and her extracurriculars into this project was, I think, really unique. And I loved seeing that progression.
That's great. That's great. So Maya, did you know about RXR before this program? Did you have any idea what they did in the community or what they focused on, or had you heard the name before?
I had not. I didn't hear about RXR before at all.
Was it interesting to learn about the company and be connected to somebody like Lydia at a company that's really like literally reshaping New Rochelle with some of the development that it's doing?
Yeah, I think this project was especially great because like they're doing development in New Rochelle, so I can sort of like just see what the company's about and like know that the company or like New Rochelle's in good hands with this new development. Yeah, it was definitely interesting learning about like this huge organization. I just think it's great to build up my sort of like professional network in the future.
That's great, excellent. And what, like we've talked about all of the good things. You both had really positive comments here, but was there anything that was really challenging about this or really hard that you had to overcome during the 5 weeks working together? Either one of you.
Something really challenging? I'm trying to, I don't know, from the spot.
I mean, I think, and I'll give you some time, I guess, to think, oh, well, I'm spitballing, but I think two pieces are obviously like the virtual aspect of this, and I know that's kind of an obvious one, but grateful for the structure and kind of the feeling of just ease, despite it being virtual and over Zoom and all of that. But always tough with kind of a relationship-based program and a mentorship-based program, when you just don't have that opportunity, right, to kind of come together and really collaborate and workshop, I think is something that would be so exciting for the future when things kind of open up more. But also, you know, on the flip side, that allowed us to connect when we are living, you know, and when Maya's in New Rochelle and I'm based in Manhattan, it's a double-edged sword and really allowed us to connect and develop a relationship and maybe wouldn't normally have been able to as easily. And I also think what was a great challenge about it, that was also, I think, a hurdle for both of us was, and I spoke to this, but like the financing piece, right? And really me kind of having to think through, wow, this is a part of real estate that because of my role and kind of more how niche it is, I don't have as much knowledge in, and how can we leverage other mentors in the network to really come in and speak to it themselves, and mentors that are working in development, specifically in New Rochelle, right, that can kind of give us their boots to the ground knowledge on that side. And just grateful for those challenges and ways that we, I think, grew together in that way, and kind of also got to hopefully broaden Maya's network as we were able to talk with others and get their opinions. So those are two top challenges that definitely come to my mind that I think at the end of the day are positive things, right, and just allowed us to be a little more imaginative and I think creative with overcoming some of those hurdles.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, like the virtual aspect and then just not knowing too much about finances. And I guess one other thing, due to like the virtual setting, I didn't really connect with my peers until like Maya, the program manager, set like a meeting separately just for peers to like talk to each other and just bounce ideas off each other in terms of what they're doing for our project and like be inspired by them. So I'd say like, yeah, connecting with peers was also a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, that's a great point. So this was a pretty new kind of internship, right? Like you were working on a project, like a passion project, right? That was from your mind and your ideas. How do you think this is different, better, you know, worse, whatever you want to call it, than a more traditional job or internship, Maya?
Just I guess the creativity aspect of it. With like a normal job, sometimes, you know, it's sort of repetitive and like you're, I guess, given a set of tasks and then you're supposed to do them. And I don't think there's really too much room for innovation. I think with internships, this is really good for like people who are like still in school to like be using the creative side of your brain, because it's going to help you when you actually, you know, go to school, like in the school. Go to school in the school time, but you know what I mean? Like it's good to like use your brain in these ways over the summer so that you'll be more prepared for when you actually enter school and you need it for different types of projects and assignments. I say it's better than a normal job just because of the creativity aspect.
And Lydia, from a mentorship versus kind of managing an intern kind of perspective, what are the pros and cons of a program like Career Explorers?
Yeah, I think something that I struggled with on a con side is just wishing I had more time. And I know that sounds very cheesy, but I just feel like it flew by, and I wish that in a way, you know, when you're fitting it into your work day, being able to carve out that time in order to kind of find that balance of really trying to be there for Maya. And then when meetings pop up and you have to shift things around, or even like today, right, when I'm running late from something else that's kind of unforeseen, just being able to balance that and then coming into that space with Maya and just making sure I'm present, right? And making sure that kind of those work commitments or work stresses are kind of like I have blinders on and I'm not thinking about that for the half hour that we're together. But I think the pro of it is it really just was so something to look forward to. And it was really something that I was able to fit into my work that contributed to my work, you know, and that was contributing to the stuff that I do here at RXR and supporting RXR. And I think that is funny because I think the lines kind of blurred for me of like doing the mentorship and then doing my job. I think they kind of really went hand in hand for me, if that makes sense, and allowed me to think through. And I told Maya this, but I was, when I go about my day, I'd like think of things that then I was like, oh, I should tell Maya about that because I think that could really impact her project. And I loved kind of how symbiotic that was, because I think we were matched so well, and that her project was so community driven, and my role is to develop community in a sense. And so really grateful for that. So I feel like it's kind of the pros and cons kind of blended together and really balanced each other out well, which I really loved. And just, yeah, I wish I had more time, but so grateful for this kind of opportunity and how it influenced my work. And hopefully I was able to then bring things that happened throughout the day into the work that I did with Maya.
No, that's great. So Lydia, what would you say this program, I know you just talked about from your perspective as an individual, but in terms of benefits to a company like RXR, why is it beneficial for companies like RXR to support and get involved with a program like Career Explorers?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think there's so many benefits, but first off, I think the very fact that New Rochelle is in an area that RXR is very committed to working on and committed to doing developments so that are only beneficial, right, to the community, and that are only adding increased vibrancy, increased community, increased access to New Rochelle as a whole. And so it was really, I think, amazing for RXR to then engage with the actual community and a generation that has grown up there and has, really invested in the community, and I think can feel those tangible impacts, or like even maybe walk past the developments, if that makes sense, to kind of have this frame of reference. You're like, wow, like I know who's working on that, and I know why they're working on that. And I think that RXR really, outside of being a real estate firm, I think this is something that a lot of real estate firms have to have a balancing act in, is always holding themselves accountable, right, to how are our developments impacting communities and neighborhoods. And I think that is something that RXR is really committed to doing in a responsible, positive, and respectful way. And I think that working with an organization that is so committed, to working with a specific group of students in a specific area that ties so directly into what RXR is also doing is just so beneficial. And gives a great frame of reference, I think, for us at RXR as well, and also allows us to continue to engage and hopefully give back in a sense, whether or not it's a small or a large way, and to really kind of think outside the box of, wow, like how beneficial it is to interact with those that are directly impacted by the work that we're doing, and to just kind of close the gap, and to really be there with one another and engage with one another when normally we probably wouldn't have had the chance to do so.
Great. And Maya, what on the flip side, what would you say to other students your age who are looking for summer kind of work experiences? Like, why would Career Explorers be a good option for a young person to pick?
So I think I like the way that Career Explorers is what's what I'm looking for, like organized. You meet with your program manager, so then what to talk about with the mentor, then you meet with your mentor, you have a network session so you can expand your professional network even more, and then you have certain topics, like we learned about presentation skills in one, learned about what's your working style and how that can mesh with other people's working styles. So I think the Career Explorers program makes sure to sort of work on all sides of how you all sides of the professional business, like what you'll be needing to do. And I really enjoyed the way it was organized and scheduled. I think is really a supportive network. Like at any time, if you have any questions, you have probably 3 people to email, which is great.
Great, excellent. So those are all of my questions. I don't know if either of you had any parting words or thoughts as I think about kind of putting together a little story about the program and your experience in it.
I would just say I would encourage people to if you're kind of thinking about applying, to just try it out and see if you like it. You never know. I really didn't know too much about real estate, and I ended up loving my project, so you never really know what you'll get out of it.
Great.
Yeah, and I think similarly, I believe that there was such a breadth of roles that the mentors had, even within real estate, and so I loved seeing from the different mentees that a lot of them, some of them were really interested in real estate and others did it because they saw different pockets of opportunity within that to develop their own skills and bring that to the forefront, even if they don't see themselves developing a career in real estate in the future. And so, as Maya said, yeah, just thinking outside the box in terms of what am I going to get out of this? And I think Maya did such an exceptional job of that, of really bringing her interest, as I said, in design and community and marketing or user experience with apps, like any of that. She really brought that into her project. And I think that's really a testament to the flexibility that Pencil gives its students within the really great structure. And so just grateful to have been able to see that and have that exposure. And I think it's just a great program that allows really, dedicated students to get access and exposure to different industries and take away that knowledge, whether or not they end up, really developing a career in that specific field in the future.
Great. So that was all I had.